No.
No.
That's what I thought.
Am I pushing the right button?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Okay.
Now it's green. All right. What an intro, what an intro. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. Well, not when I was younger, but I love listening to my grandmother tell stories. She passed away a few years ago, but I would go and I would sit with her, and she would tell me stories from her childhood, and from my childhood, and from my mom's childhood. Those were good stories. And sometimes, as I'd be listening to her, something would happen. There would be a change. Softness would come over her voice and a little sparkle in her eye. And I knew that she was going to tell me something about my grandpa. She loved my grandpa. She would say things like, "Oh, your grandpa, he could dance. Steve was such a good dancer. You know, your grandpa and I met in Park City, Utah, way back in the day. I worked at the general store, and one day I was standing behind the counter with my apron on, and through the door came a bunch of miners. One of them was tall and burly. He walked up to the counter, he took off his hat, exposing his dirty face, and introduced himself. 'I'm Steve Maine. What's your name?' Well, I told him that my name was Dorothy Hines. And before too long, before I knew it, he'd asked me to go out dancing with him. And that's how it began. I fell in love with your grandpa on the dance floor. Oh, he could spin me around. He courted me on the dance floor. And after a few months, well, a little bit of time, we were married. But we kept up that tradition of going dancing every Friday night. In Park City on Friday night, you could go dancing at the Elks Lodge and the Beaver Lodge. They were right across the street from each other. You could buy one ticket, get into both lodges. One had a big band, dance band, and the other had a country band. Oh, good music. We'd walk into the lodge on Friday night with our other married friends to go dancing. We'd walk inside, and my friend Doris would lean over to me and say, "Dorothy, do you mind if I have a dance with Steve?" "Yes, I mind," I would say in my head. But out loud, I would say, "Oh, of course I don't mind, Doris." You see, Steve was the best dancer, perhaps the only dancer among all of the men in our married friend circle. So Doris would walk onto the dance floor with my Steve. He'd look back at me and give me a wink, and I'd be left with two left feet stand. He'd escort me onto the dance floor, and I'd spend the next song trying to keep my feet out from under his. Well, all of my other friends, they would see Doris dancing with Steve and assume that I didn't mind if they had to dance with him also. So I spent what seemed like half the night dancing with all the non-dancing husbands, while Steve was winking at me from across the floor. I spent my time being dizzy from being spun too much, or my feet black and blue from being stepped on. But finally, it would be my turn to dance with my husband. And as Steve would take me into his arms and pull me close, all the stress of the evening would fade away. And I'd be dancing with my prince, and he would spin me into the fairy tale all over again. And when we got home, after the evening of dancing, I'd go to the radio, find the song that was just right, turn the lights down low, and ask Steve for one last dance. Because you can never get enough dancing with the one you